The annual World Convention is hosted by the ACA World Service Organization, and it was made possible by the dedication and energy of ACA members from around the world giving service. The theme was connections. The following recording is one of the 18 presentations made by and for members of Adult Children of Alcoholics Fellowship at the 8th Annual ACA World Convention held virtually on November 17 and 18, 2023. Please visit the adultchildren.org website for more information about ACA, for worldwide ACA meeting listings, to make a 7th tradition contribution, or to volunteer for service. We hope you enjoy the following presentation from the 8th Annual World Convention.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, to our Worldwide ACA Fellowship. Welcome to our 8th ACA Annual World Convention. This is the largest gathering of adult children in the world, connecting our ACA members, our family of choice, to each other all around the planet. And just for you to know, we have over 2,600 registrations for this convention from 63 countries. We share our experience, strength, and hope as we recover from the effects of dysfunctional childhood. While the last few years brought challenges to us all, it also brought us together as a true global fellowship. We found belonging and connection with others, healing from the effects of family dysfunction. This convention is hosted by the ACA World Service Organization, WSO, yay to WSO, and our theme this year is connections. This year we have 12 sessions running over 24 hours and around the clock and around the world. My name is Adelina. I'm located in Toronto, Canada. I am originally from Romania. And the following presentation is, drum roll please. We're supposed to have it in here. God.
Dios.
Deme la serenidad para aceptar.
I cannot
wisdom to
la
know
sabiduría,
that one
reconocer
is
la diferencia. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Shukran. Okay, we're muting everybody again. Next slide, please.
Hi, my name's Gail. I'm grateful for ACA. The flip side of the laundry list. We move out of isolation and are not unrealistically afraid of other people, even authority figures. 2, we do not depend on others to tell us who we are. 3, we are not automatically frightened by angry people and no longer regard personal criticism as a threat. 4, we do not have a compulsive need to recreate abandonment. 5, we stop living life from the standpoint of victims and are not attracted by this trait in our important relationships. 6, we do not use enabling as a way to avoid looking at our own shortcomings. 7, we do not feel guilty when we stand up for ourselves. 8, we avoid emotional intoxication and choose workable relationships instead of constant upset. 9, we are able to distinguish love from pity and do not think rescuing people we pity is an act of love. 10, we come out of denial about our traumatic childhoods and regain the ability to feel and express our emotions. 11, we stop judging and condemning ourselves and discover a sense of self-worth. 12, we grow in independence and are no longer terrified of abandonment. We have interdependent relationships with healthy people, not dependent relationships with people who are emotionally unavailable. 13. The characteristics of alcoholism and para-alcoholism we have internalized are identified, acknowledged, and removed. 14. We are actors, not reactors. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Gail. And okay, next slide. Let's jump straight to sharing and crosstalk. Our presentation is Best Kept Secret Service as an ACA recovery tool. And we have a number of panelists, but Sue V will introduce everyone, and I will introduce Sue V. Sue V comes to us from Toronto, Canada. She has been in ACA for 13 years. Sue has given 12 years of service in meetings, local intergroups, WSO Global and Publishing, and several other committees. This is Sue's third year on the WSO ACA board, and it is her second year as chair of the board. Sue enjoys hiking, gardening, meditating, Tai Chi, forest bathing, and music. Sue, over to you and your panel.
Thank you, Adelina. And I'll be introducing Denise, who will be our moderator for this panel. But before I start, let me identify. I am Sue V, grateful and hopeful adult child from Toronto, Canada, as Adelina said. And both my parents were ill with alcoholism, and I have a lot of dysfunction in our family. My father actually found AA early on. So I've been in the AA family for over 50 years, but the dysfunction didn't go away, and I'm the eldest of 8. So I would say that I'll talk more about my personal story when I share my experience, strength, and hope. But I absolutely identify as an adult child. The title, Best Kept Secret, Service as an ACA Recovery. How did we come up with that? Well, Denise and I were chatting and about service. And I was telling her about a time many years ago when someone said to me in one of the meetings afterwards, they said, where do all of the really experienced ACA members hang out? Thinking that there would be a special meeting group and stuff. And before I could even think about it, my mouth actually said in service. You'll find them in service on a service committee. And that was the truth of it. And it still is. A lot of us who've got a lot of years will do service, and there's service rotation for sure, but we'll keep moving around. And at the same time, I was saying, for some reason, I think that service is like an ACA best kept secret. Because if people understood what I know to be true for me is that it's just like a laundry list study, a yellow book study, a loving parent guidebook study. For me, ACA recovery goes deeper and more sustainable when I do service. It's got to be the right kind of service, and we'll talk about that. But if people understood, if our members understood how important it is, I think we would have a lineup of volunteers. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of volunteers and so grateful for all of them, but our fellowship is growing so fast that we need more and more. And the ones that we do have, we don't want to burn out. We don't want them carrying too heavy a service workload. So we are looking at how can we attract more service volunteers sustainably. And so we started to come up with this workshop, and so thrilled to see all of our panelists coming in. I would say this is that if you are here, if you are attending meeting groups, I hate to break it to you, you're already doing service. All right, so we're talking about more service because you're already there. And I would say that I'm going to read on page 601, suggested commitment to service. I'm only going to read the first paragraph. If you don't know what this means, please look it up in the BRB, page 601, the suggested commitment to service. It really helps us to keep healthy in recovery, and especially when doing service. It says, I perform service so that my program will be available for myself, and through those efforts, others may benefit. I'm just going to repeat that. I perform service so that my program will be available for myself, and through those efforts, others may benefit. Each speaker is going to be talking about their experience, strength, and hope in service and in ACA recovery. We're going to hear about their challenges. We're going to hear about their rewards. We're going to hear about the ACA growth and joy that happens when doing service and when they're working their ACA program. And this program is today is going to be very much interactive. You'll have a chance to ask questions. I hope at the end of it, you'll understand for yourself, because it's all different for everyone. How do you know it's the right kind of service, I get asked? Well, it has to come from the heart. No people pleasing, no obligation, no resentments, please. It's got to come, and your ACA recovery's got to grow as a result of it, in my opinion. And service, it's got to fuel you, not drain you. And it's got to give you joy and increase your sense of commitment and belongingness. That is, for me, is my definition of the right kind of service. Finding balance is always tricky. I'm still working on that. And I'll share more when my time comes. And I'm going to turn over this portion to Denise, who is our NOMCOM chair, who has been working tirelessly behind the scenes. I have been impressed and in awe of her pulling us all together to create this wonderful workshop together. So Denise, take it away, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Sue. Wow. So I am just really happy to be here, and beautiful AWC, and thank you to everyone. I found this quote in the Big Red Book on page 348. It says, service work is a key aspect of the ACA recovery program. Service is our way of giving back to ACA what was freely given to us by the fellowship. When we help others, we help ourselves, and we maintain emotional sobriety. I am really grateful that we have speakers from across the world who are willing to speak to you today. And each, Sue, she already said a lot of things I was going to say, so I won't repeat. It's okay. And you know what's lovely is I'm okay. You know, I had to be encouraged to do this panel because public speaking is difficult for me. But so far so good. So after we speak, we will have a question and answer time. So I will introduce each panelists with a brief list of their service, not all of their list. And William, would you give each of our panelists 6 minutes with a 1 minute warning, please? Yes. So our first speaker today is Alyssa A. She comes to us from Moscow, Russia, and Alyssa has attended ACA for 5 years. Alyssa started her 1.5 year of service in her group where she helped serve tea, sweets, and cookies. She's been chair of Young Adults and Teen Subcommittee, and she's a delegate and vice chair of the Russian-speaking Regional Service Committee. Alyssa enjoys raising her Japanese Akita. She writes poems, scripts, and sometimes works with an actress. So take it away, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Alyssa. I'm an adult child from Russia, and this is my very first annual World Convention, and I spread the word among the fellows I know and encourage them to come as well. So it's kind of both stressful and exciting thing to be here today. So I guess I should thank myself, you, and higher power that we are here together. I couldn't imagine that this thing, maybe even today. It's just so amazing. Well, I'm attending and making service in ACA for almost 6 years, and for the first 4 years, the service was for me like, okay, this is on the list of recommendations. This is good for my recovery. Okay, I will do it, because if I don't, that maybe my recovery will not as well as it could be. So, okay. And I made service, I took for a long years till I finished my work through the 12 steps, service positions, maybe for 1 month or for 3 months. And I was okay. After I finished, I was like, let's have a break. And after, I think, working through 11th step, I realized that I got so many energy from this work, and I felt so excited, and I started to think, what is more ACA about? Not only my home group, some other groups meetings, and service positions on my group. And since then, since I think finishing the 12th step, I was like non-stopping serving, and it wasn't like, something that I was struggling through. It was like, wow, what else? Like, a child in the candy shop. I was so interested in everything, like, and I tried so many things. And you can imagine the summer ago, I was asking my sponsor what was happening and what is it about, and what's the difference between our local intergroup and our regional committee. So, and now I have already had many service positions in this service committee, and I'm having service even in WSO. So I think from Russia, I'm the second person like at all. So it's kind of huge. And this was my growth. And I can recall this phrase that I not stopping repeating for myself from one fellow traveler. He said that serving helps to recover deeply, more deeper. And it's so true, because in society I can came across to many situations that are very similar to what I met in my serving, because these are the people, they have different characters, and we should be a team, and we should work together. And it's not about me, it's about our common goal. And I wasn't a team player at all. I was very childish, from my point of view today, I was really childish, and I wasn't quite responsible. In some situations, I was, very responsible, but in some, day-to-day things, I was like a really teenager. So it's not the way I could handle my life. I could take care of myself. So I was very overprotective in my parents' family. And service, it makes me stronger, more confident, and it helps me be more socialized, even because I have this tendency to isolation. I'm the smartest, I'm like the best, and from time to time I'm the worst, and I can do simple things and people can. So my disease, my dysfunctional thing, part of me, it ruins me and messes with me, and that this is why it's so important to have this stability, to have this support, to get it, to come and get it. not to be in waiting when someone will come to me and help me. It will be myself, like, in Harry Potter. it was him. The one who saved me, it was me. So thank you very much for listening. My time is up.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Our next speaker is Carmen B. Carmen comes to us from Fairfield, California, USA. She started attending ACA 6 years ago, and Carmen has 6 years in service. She started in the Greater East Bay Intergroup as a member of Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and she's now co-chair of the Intergroup, and she's been co-chair of the ABC Committee since the 2023 ABC and the following QDMs. Carmen enjoys gardening, reading, and playing with her 2 dogs. Okay. Thank you. So take it away, Carmen.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. I really do appreciate it. So for me, I joined ACA at a point where I was very emotionally drained and at a bottom. And that's kind of led me to attend my first meeting. And so service for me started about 6 months into my recovery when I was asked to be a timer. And being a timer was like very, very stressful for me because I was very quiet. I don't like interrupting people. So I was very like stressed out about being a timer. But it turns out I did perfectly fine being a timer. After about a year in recovery, I had a sponsor and she really encouraged me to increase my service in my home group. And so I did it. I kind of anxiously agreed to secretary that meeting. And that was really helpful for me because it was at a time where my attendance was becoming less regular. So being a secretary really forced me to regularly attend meetings. So that was really helpful for my sponsor to mention. After that, some members mentioned that they were forming a new intergroup, and I didn't actually know what an intergroup was, so I had to kind of ask them. And it sounded like something that would be good and helpful, so I got involved with that. And I did various different roles. So I was over the first 5 years of my recovery, I was very involved with my local groups and with intergroups. And I found that, very helpful for my recovery. I didn't think much about WSO. I really thought that that was for like veterans or people that knew what they were really doing, but that that couldn't be for Carmen. That couldn't be for me. And it just so happened I was asked at the last minute to help with the ABC this year. And I, again, had to think about whether it was something I wanted to do, and I couldn't think of a reason not to do it. And so I said, yes, I'll go ahead and do it. And so that kind of started my service with WSO, and I've been doing like QDMs and things like that since then. So service has been a place for me to really build my confidence up kind of over time, starting with being a timer and then a secretary and then intergroup and then at WSO. So it was just helpful to really build my intergroup that was, really bruised being raised in a dysfunctional family. And service is also a place for me to make mistakes and also practice making amends. I struggle a lot with perfectionism. And so service has been a safe place for me to make amends to people that are also in ACA. So it's a bit safer, I feel, to make mistakes and make amends. And service is also a place for me to really step out of isolation and connect with some really cool and interesting people that I would never have met otherwise. And so service has been a really important tool to my recovery. The 2 things that really prevented me from doing service or that made me hesitant to be in service was one was just a confidence issue. Like, can I actually do it? And then the other is I have a history of workaholism. So there's always this fear that I'll go back into that. So it's just something that I'm always having to evaluate. Is what I'm doing giving me energy, or is it taking away energy? Is it something that I want to do? Another thing about service that I'm learning is boundaries and when and how to say no. When I started ACA, I had a sponsor who had more of a background in other 12 steps. And so she kind of installed in me, if someone asks you to do something, when it comes to 12 step, you should say yes. Unless something, you should say yes. And so that's kind of the mindset that I had for a few years, but now I'm learning that boundaries are important and the ability to say no is also important. I also really appreciate that service has helped, I think, prevent me from relapsing. And at times when I was getting close to relapsing or I found myself backtracking, service kind of kept me engaged in ACA. And so that was, I think, really helpful. And then just service, and then I'm just very grateful for ACA. I consider it a life-saving program for me, and it's something that I want to give to other people. In addition to just not just getting, but being able to give and spread the word. That's really helpful. And then I guess the last thing I would say is that I've learned a lot about myself. For example, I'm a very calm person because just growing up with my dysfunction, I learned to be very calm. But that same calmness that I learned in my dysfunction really helps me when I'm doing meetings or when I'm doing QDMs. It's just something that I've learned to really grow and to really appreciate about myself. Something that I wouldn't say if I hadn't been doing recovery. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak about my service.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Okay. Our next speaker is Edmundas from Vilnius, Lithuania in Europe. And he's been in ACA for 7.5 years. And Edmundas has 6 years in service. He's been a translator and legal representative of the ACA Lithuania to the Lithuanian state. He's currently the European Committee Chair and co-chair of the ABC Committee. In his recovery, he's discovered that he enjoys cooking with close friends, rallying people, singing, and being in nature. Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Denise. I thought I would be speaking after you, but okay. Thank you, everyone, to letting me share, even unexpectedly, at this moment. Of course, I come from an alcoholic and dysfunctional family, but I wouldn't talk about that. That's not so much interesting in such a wonderful place that we are in now. And yeah, how I got into service. I thought I would boast that, and that's a minute went by already. I thought I would boast that I was invited everywhere, but I looked at my history and that was 90% of cases, but not absolutely always. But basically, I was invited to help with translations, English to Lithuanian, with BRB incoming by that time. And we released our BRB like 2 days ago in Lithuania. Finally got it, I mean. So it's like a full circle right now for me. And when I was invited, of course, I said yes, because if I'm healthy like I am as a person, I always say this one crazy thing, that let's drive forward, you can start the engine afterwards. So yeah, and in my recovery, basically what it came down to is well, let's look what else this ACA, who has saved me from 2 suicides almost, has up its sleeve. And one exception to the service where I was not invited to absolutely directly, but was voted for, was I was a delegate for Lithuania in 2019. And that was an amazing experience for me, and one of the highest, I look at it like the highest point of my life, right there, and it got hooked. I got hooked. I mean, and of course, there are two. Oh man, that's half time passed. There are basically two things that I always think about. Either I can speak as a newbie, which thanks to higher power, I can always relive my experience as a newbie, as a newcomer, or speak of past experiences as I have experienced today. And so today, what I'm thinking about, I want to celebrate life with others, and that's not happening 100% of the time, but that is my goal. I recently understood one thing, that in 100 years, nobody would remember who is Edmundus, but I can influence in a major way the society, the people that I'm living in, if I share the ACA message, because people that will come after me will build on the foundations that we have, or if I had helped at least by 5%, 1%, that is good. So these are like enormous motivations for me. And of course, one of the things that I'm learning in service is boundaries, because ACA and WSO in particular, like no other fellowship, needs service people, and it's a fantastic thing, because oh man, because yeah, everything comes from dysfunction in the family when growing up. NA, AA, everything. So that's a great paradox, that we are like, in terms of service, we are like blooming up, but although we can, but I'm a little bit starting to get anxious. I apologize for that. But basically, in service, one of the core principles that I want to finish off about is saying yes instead of no. And it helped me when I was 12 years ago. I worked in a theater, and I'm mindful that my time is finished. So I will adjourn with ending with this example, that in theater, if you and a partner start to improvise, you always say yes to the person on the stage, because if you say no and it's an improvisation and you don't know what happens, you have to now improvise yourself and lead your partner. So if faced by fear, it's always to better say yes. And I want to be respectful of the boundaries, and I want to say thank you to you all with much love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edmundus. Well, I'm your next speaker, and I'm Denise, a grateful adult child. And when I first came into recovery, I was so full of shame that I could barely be heard in meetings. And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought I'd be speaking to you today, but here I am. I'm no longer paralyzed by fear. And I started service in my meeting, putting books and materials away. And this helped me to come out of isolation. And I really embraced tradition 5. Every group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the adult child who still suffers. This helped me understand that ACA meetings don't just happen. It's the members doing service that keeps the door open for an ACA meeting. And I committed myself to show up so that no newcomer would ever come to their first meeting, find a locked door, and maybe give up. I didn't realize it then, but by showing up for others, I was showing up for myself and enhancing my own recovery. I later joined the wider ACA community by being a delegate and by serving on different WSO committees. Here, I met adult children from all around the world. We were all at different levels of recovery, and we were working together for the good of ACA. This is where I met the chairs of the committees and many others who had good recovery and were excellent models for me. Because they responded to each person with kindness and respect, it helped me to be less fearful of sharing my thoughts. And this gave me the opportunity to practice my new behaviors with safe program people. The more I was able to act with safe people, it helped me not to react into my 14 traits. And this was also the first time I'd been with people who had done serious inner family work. It helped me understand how self-love and giving service from a place of love go together, as I saw it in action. And this also helped guide me in my own reparenting journey. And becoming my own loving parent helped me to be able to make mistakes and to stop beating myself up. I now accept that I'm human and I make mistakes. And when I do, I can forgive myself. And when I mess up, I make amends to those I've harmed. And sometimes, because I'm human, I feel like I need an amends punch card. But a recovery tool that really helps me is being present. And when I'm able to be present and calm, I'm able to act, so I make fewer mistakes. And it's when I'm anxious or hurrying that I'm more likely to react or make mistakes, which ensures that I need to do an amends. And by being gentle and forgiving to myself helps me do the same for others. I understand that just like me, they're human, doing the best they can. And I've gotten lots of opportunities to participate in group consciences with excellent models. They listen, let everyone have a voice, and they demonstrated how to accept the outcome of a decision with grace, even when it doesn't go as they had hoped. And I'd be lying if I said this was always easy for me, and it's been a process, not an event. I've learned to place my loving parent in the driver's seat so that I'm able to settle down my inner children's tantrums or my critical parents' negative thinking. And when I do that, I can choose unity for what's best for the group. And I've been blessed with encouragement to try new service. There's a lot of power when someone says, "You can do this." Encouragement helped me to step out of my comfort range and gave me the courage to try something new and grow. It's why I'm doing this session today. It's why I was able to speak at the 2020 ABC, and it's why I applied to the nominating committee. Now I'm chair, and I continue to embrace Tradition 5 to carry the message, but now it's on a worldwide level. Our mission is to vet and then nominate members to the board for World Service Organization. We have to have a board of members. It's our board members who keep the door of ACA open for all of us, and especially for those who have not yet found ACA. And almost all of our board members applied because someone encouraged them. A year ago, we had 10, and currently we only have 5. So if you've ever considered serving on the board, you are needed. Please encourage those who you think would be a good board member. Encouragement is a wonderful service to ACA, and it's a gift to the person receiving it. I'm grateful and humbled for all the service opportunities I've had as a trusted servant that's helped me grow into who I am today. Although I'm not totally comfortable speaking like this yet, I've come a long way. And each time I speak, it gets easier and easier. Oh man, I will cut to the end and say, I have a sense of wholeness I never knew was possible. And giving back to ACA, what was freely given to me, is the greatest gift I've ever given myself. So I will, let's see. I didn't mean to go over. I even timed it in practice. Okay, my next speaker, thank you. My next speaker is Jim R., who comes to us from Long Island, New York. And he's been in ACA for 10 years. This is Jim's, and we're just going to say 10 plus years, because he's done a lot of service from the group level and has been a delegate many times. He's been chair of an intergroup, and he's author of several Comline articles. Jim's been on many WSO committees, and he's currently co-chair of ballot prep and the volunteer resource committees. And Jim enjoys gardening, cooking, and hiking. So take it away, Jim.
Hi, thank you so much, Denise, and thank you everyone for being here. And thank you for everyone who's doing service. I'm going to mix it up a little bit because the outline says that we would talk about our journey into ACA and what challenges we faced, and then the gifts of recovery. But I'm going to start with the challenges. And I'd love to ask everyone here if you could raise your hand if you know how a committee meeting or a business meeting should be run. So please just raise your hand if you know the answer, to that. And while you're doing that, let me just tell you that the business of WSO is business, actually. And our business revolves around bringing the ACA message to those people who are adult children all around the world. And our work is done in committees. And so I'm going to change my view to a gallery view and look at all the hands. Oh my goodness. And that is the challenge. The challenge the challenge that I face has to do with beliefs and values. And the belief is usually formed like if, then. If I have a good breakfast, then I'll have a great day. That might be a belief that I have. And so in this case, someone might say, I know how a meeting should be run because, and the answer to that because might be, I've been to a million of them, or I know Robert's rules inside and out, or I'm a really good listener and I can help facilitate a good meeting, or I'm very time oriented. So my meetings go to like 59 minutes and we're closing. And these are all valid. These are all valid beliefs. And it's kind of like the flip, it's flipped. So because I can take care of time, I know how a meeting should be run. Because I am a listener, I know how a meeting should be run. Those are the beliefs we have. But what happens when everyone comes to the meeting with different beliefs? Because none of those hands, I'm sure, have the same beliefs. And it's not just one belief, there's many beliefs. And everyone will tend to be certain that their belief is right. Because I've been running this meeting for years and I've got it down. So yeah, I can do that. And so that has been my challenge recently. Just the awareness that I have that people are very different and no one's coming in with the same ground rules. And most recently, you know, I was up at 4 this morning and tuned into speakers from China and India, and it was really great. And I was on the couch listening and kind of like nodding in and out. And this phrase, principles, not personalities, came up. And I hear that a lot. But for the first time early this morning, it started to make sense. Like a way into that, you know, what if I adopt the principle that someone else is espousing just for a moment and take them out of the equation and try to look at it from their point of view? And yeah, it's and then it left. I had it for like, I don't know, 5 minutes. But it'll be back. I know it will. There was something there. And yeah, and that kind of leads into, you know, what I've gained by doing service. There's so many insights and I'm always growing. Like this is recent. How to, you know, this program, ACA is really about relationships and how to relate to one another. And, you know, just because someone's in world service doesn't mean they have dropped all their bullying attitudes. You know, they surface now and then, and how to allow that, accept them, and not get dragged into situations like that has been a really big lesson for me. So with less than a minute to go, I want to say it's so worthwhile, and you can find your family within, you know, every committee is very different and they're doing different tasks, but it does tend to revolve around a meeting, a business-like meeting at some point. So that's the thing I would suggest, that get comfortable with bringing in a higher power into these committee meetings and being, you know, taking the time and the silence. So I didn't get time to tell you about my journey. Perhaps I'll put it into a Comline article, or I may already have and have forgotten about it. So yeah, that can happen. And 4, 3, 2, I love you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jim. We'll be looking for that article. Okay. Our last speaker is Sue V, and she was introduced earlier, so I'll just be brief and share that she's currently chair of our ACA Board of Trustees. And please share with us, Sue.
Thank you, Denise, and welcome everyone. And yes, I'm still Sue V, grateful and hopeful adult child. Hasn't changed. I'm going to start from the beginning, and I'll do a very brief summary. When I came into ACA, I came in exhausted for taking care of others. I came in with workaholism. And I had no intention in doing any service for the first little while. I can tell you, I was highly resistant to service. And that was not a bad thing for me, because I was so used to taking care of everyone else and not looking after myself. So my first year was really focused on me in my meetings, in my step studies, working with a sponsor. I would start to do some things because I couldn't help myself. I'm the eldest of 8 children. And so I would start helping out in the meetings, setting, the chairs, helping out with the readings. My favorite was helping out as a newcomer greeter, because at first I thought, well, what do I have to share? I only have a few months, maybe a year. But then I thought, I do know how it feels to come in on the first night. I do know how it feels on what I did in the first few weeks. And that's where I came from. And it was very well received. And gradually, when I started having that and I started getting recovery, I started doing little bits and pieces. I was still very concerned about the slippery slope of getting into workaholism, and I would call it servaholism. And so I was very concerned about that, but I did it gradually. And I did what called my heart, and I started to learn to trust myself. I started to learn to say no. And one of the elders in our group was so head up about traditions, reading all the traditions every single meeting. And I said, what's up with these traditions? And it took me time, but I realized the traditions were our foundation, the growth, the stability for the business meetings that Jim was mentioning. And so I started learning more about the traditions and feeling safer about that. I started doing literature work, coordination in Canada. We have customs, and we had issues in getting books into Canada. This year we got Shopify Canada, so it's going to be a little easier. We started having a huge growth after our public and member outreach, which I helped out a little bit with. And a lot of people from the past came in, people from the 90s saying, my God, you're still here, ACA, and you've got literature. And we started growing meetings and studies, and I started helping out with that. And what I discovered as I was doing these gradual pieces over the first couple of years is that it helped me stay focused on ACA and myself. And it was a safer place to try and explore boundary setting and saying no than it would be in the outside world. And I started doing delegate volunteering. And then when I started doing the 2018 World Convention planning in the ABC, and then later the global members chairing and publishing, what was really interesting to me is I noticed in my early days of recovery and continuing is that I started to grow as a result of the amount of service I was doing. And I thought, wow, what's going on with this? And I realized that the growing edge, the challenge was there were situations and people, and I was being highly triggered. And instead of the old way of projecting out on people and having conflicts, I gently brought it back with my ACA program. My laundry lists, by the way, are my inner children. And so I would talk with my own laundry list and look at my steps and do my reparenting instead of going at someone else from a conflict. And I healed me inside, and I realized I could come with a clean heart, clean mind, and put those boundaries down or have those tough conversations without them becoming blaming and shaming. And it was a huge growth to me. And people started asking me, what are you doing? Because the local area, I think they noticed, my family noticed. And I said, well, the only thing I'm doing really different is service. That's what I'm doing different. And it's got to be the right kind of service. It's got to be the right kind of service, calling the heart. I got to check my thing, and I'm human. I can make mistakes, and I own them, and I make the amends to myself first, and the amends to anyone else that I need to do. But I really want to do something that calls my service. And in the last 50 seconds that I have with you is just check in with yourself and your recovery. Do little bits at a time, and you can always say, I don't think this is working out. You can renegotiate, or you can say, I need to leave. And I have done service rotation all these years. And when I leave my meeting group, when I leave my inner group, when I leave the global members chair, and Shangri-La now is the chair in India, when I'm in the publishing, I'm going to leave publishing. And I have been mentoring and service sponsoring a lot of different people along the ways, because I'm not going to be here forever. None of us are. And I want to just plant seeds and carry the ACA message to all the adult children around the world. I want everyone to have the kind of recovery I have. But I'm going to say I'm not perfect. My life's not perfect. I'm still challenged. And I'll end with, I love my service work, and I'm deeply grateful for the opportunities provided by everyone, and all of you right now, because this is a service. It's almost, like a step 5 when you're sharing. And so I thank you for letting me share. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you so much, Sue. Okay, our next portion is a question and answer. So if you have a question for our panelists, please raise your virtual hand, and you'll have 1 minute to answer your question. And then our panelists will have 2 minutes to respond. So let's see. Okay, great. I can see everybody now. Okay, Kimba has a question. Go ahead, Kimba. You're muted. Can you unmute Kimba, please?
Yes, she can unmute now.
Yes, thank you. It took a moment to make that happen. I just have thank you, first of all. Thank you so much. And I'm so incredibly moved to be in this kind of a space with people from all over the world and feeling this level of connection. It's stunning to me. It's, wow. General question is, what did the intergroups do?
Okay. Who would like to take that from the panel?
They take care of the meetings. Pass.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, I worked for a while with the Greater New York Intergroup, Greater New York Area Intergroup, ACA Intergroup, GNYAI. And yeah, we had a big event. It was a share a day. So, this was early on. This was a long time ago when I started in ACA in 10 years ago, there were no ACA meetings on Wednesdays in all of New York City, which is a few million people. And there were no ACA meetings in the borough of Queens. So there wasn't, the intergroup was kind of far flung. And the idea was we would support the group with literature, discounted literature, and bringing people together for events. And the main event was the ACA birthday. And that's where we were. But then it really needed to be broken down into smaller groups. It was covering an area from like middle of New Jersey out to Sag Harbor on Long Island up to Poughkeepsie. So it was too far flung, and they're floundering today, with the pandemic and everything. But I guess that's what we did. I don't know if it's all we can do, but that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. And go ahead, Sue. Oh, you're muted.
Thanks. I would just add to that is we when I was in intergroup, we would ask our groups as they were growing, what do you need? And literature was one thing. Meeting listings was another. And meeting support. How do we do business meetings? And also studies. We were hungry for studies, and our intergroup would then sponsor regular study groups throughout the year. So it really depended upon what they were looking for and what their needs were, which were beyond just the meeting group, and of course events. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Sue. Okay. Mary B., are you unmuted?
Yes. Hi, my question is, how do most of you respond to someone who has a very big struggle with a higher power and then I don't know if they personalize it or what, but lots of criticism or rejection of just about everything that one person says, what would y'all recommend as just kind of a standard thing? Besides, thank you for sharing. I'll leave with that.
Okay. Edmundus has a hand up. Do you want to take this, Edmundus?
Yeah, because I was struggling in my recovery for the higher power for I don't know how long. But one day I just realized, hey, God is looking to take care of my life, that we can both travel like not hand in hand, but step in step with him. He is not to overtake, not to crush. You go that way, you do this thing, or else there's nothing good out of your life. But I have a choice as well, and with that help, I'm never alone. No matter if I sit at home, like nobody's here, but I'm not alone. So there's only help from God, and it relieved some of the anger. And I know that we have so many wonderful panelists here, so I pass there. Thanks.
Thanks, Edmundus. And I would just like to share that for me, I have to have I have no control. Both serenity prayers, except the things I cannot change, the people I cannot change. I need to have my higher power within me. And I also, because of course I get triggered, because the people that you described, that's so much of the abuse I tolerated. So I have to take really good care of myself and do that self-care so that I can show up well. And I'll be quiet until I can, so that I'm not having to make amends for, if I can't react, I'm better not to say anything. And I'll give it to Jim. And let's give it a little bit more time, because I know Jim has a lot of.
Well, no, I'm going to be brief. The answer to everything is fellowship, fellowship, fellowship. If you're having a problem, you're not doing some fun stuff. I think getting to, like, I attend a morning meeting, and we are really close. It's all on Zoom, but we do dance parties, art activities, pumpkin carving. At every turn, we find a way to get to know one another, and I think that alleviates a lot of the problems before they become, battlegrounds. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, and I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, the next hand I see is Birgit.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for being here and organizing this magnificent event. My question is, I live in a very tiny, remote place, and we have only one ACA group with 2 meetings where there are like between 5 and 15 people attending. And it's actually a big struggle to maybe even have one person to take the key to our room, so we can be sure it will be open. And I have the tendency myself to take this key far too often, and I really don't think it's healthy to be in a key position, and it's more healthy to have several persons. How do you make service and taking responsibility for the meetings more attractive to your fellow ACAs? Do you have any experience you can share with me?
Okay, go ahead, Edmundus.
I think that my own happiness and recovery attracts other people. And this is what I'm currently thinking about. because in the committees that I attend, there are people like not a lot of people. So I'm not taking blame, but from a loving standpoint, my recovery is maybe I question whether my recovery is attractive enough at this point sometimes to other people. And I always remember one of the readings in a big book, but I will pass on to other panelists for now. But basically it says that people are attracted, they want happiness we have, and if we don't have happiness ourselves, to what are they attracted then to? They are scared, especially ACAs.
Thanks, Edmundus. And Sue?
Thank you. I've had that situation many times, and so we bring it back into the business meeting of our group. And I can remember a time where nobody wanted the key, and I had been doing the key because I could, and I was not going to be able to do the key, and no one would take it. And I said, okay, that's fine. I need to do what I need to do for myself. I was going away. And I said, if no one is willing to do the key, then I think we're talking about canceling this meeting, because we can't have a meeting without someone having a key and opening it up. And there was a pregnant, and I did it in a loving, non-judgmental way, but I'm taking care of me and I'm being responsible for our group and here and see what we do. Someone said, I need this meeting. I'm going to take the key and I'm going to open it up. And so most of the times when things like that happen, I come back to my recovery. I am an adult child. I am a member just like you. And I express what my need is in a loving, non-judgmental, non-shaming way, and let the group decide what they want to do. With that, I'll pass. Thanks.
Thanks, Sue. And Carmen?
That was time.
Yeah, similar. Oh.
If you don't mind, I'd like to maybe give it another 2 minutes because it's a really common, and I'd really like to hear everyone else's, if that's okay. I'm seeing nodding heads. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, it was it often came down to trusting my higher power. Sometimes I felt like if I didn't do it, no one would do it. But I just kind of looked and saw, like, what can I do? What can I do? And just stick with that. And then someone always finds some way to fill the spot. So I think that was being helpful for me, is just doing the best in what I can do and just trusting my higher power to take care of the rest. And then the other thing that was really helpful is sometimes people aren't willing to volunteer for service positions, but if you ask them, they're much more likely to say yes. So sometimes just asking people that you think would be a good fit can be a way to help things too.
Thank you, Carmen. And Alyssa, I saw your hand up. Did you want to share?
Yes. Just would like maybe to be short. Well, I think recently I started a new group for teens, and this is like the single group for the teens in my city. And I think I would highlight that I was open, I was well known among the fellow travelers, so they know who to address to, and they could trust me. And I was friendly, and I was trying to these meetings to be stable, so people could like make a habit to have these meetings. And I tried to inform fellowship about that we are having our meetings, and I think it's helping. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Okay, Marian, we'll take your question.
Oh yeah, I think more a comment. I
I'm a very grateful member of this fellowship, and I've come to understand, thanks to the recovery that I've experienced, that this is a solution-focused operation, and that actually I need to take that solution mindset with me wherever. It's to be part of the solution that I do service. And it helps me focus on that in my own life. I spent a lot of time talking about the problem, but ACA has helped me to focus on actively finding a solution and being gentle with myself and others in the process. So, gentleness, humor, love, and respect has to be the way for me, and that is learned in ACA. And I would just personally like to say thank you to Subi, who was my service sponsor in South Africa, and who has remained an inspiration to me for what recovery can look like in service. So grateful thanks from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marian. Okay, I think we have time for one more. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. You might have to say Laumx.
Yes, you can call me Laura.
Laura.
Yes.
Laura.
Thank you for your coordination and group for the unity. Thanks a lot for this wonderful meeting. Yes. My two main questions are, one, why is this meeting called business meeting? And two, how do you choose the panelists? Thank you.
Well, I'd like to start that. When Sue and I pulled together with her encouragement, gave me the courage, but we thought about individuals who had good recovery and were doing service. So that's how we chose our panelists.
And Denise, I would add that if there are others who want to do something like this in future, we would be very interested in that too. Thank you.
Okay.
Out of respect of the service of William, he has his hand up, and maybe we'll listen to his question as well. Just an idea.
Okay. Well, okay. Here's where we're at with this. Like, my big anxiety today is like the clock, and we are sharp. But here's the deal: we can have extra time at the end of this session for more questions. So those with your hands up, or if you were afraid to raise your hand up, several of us will be available right after. But so we'll either keep it here or we'll move to the fellowship room.
Yeah,
so,
Denise as well. I think William chatted on the chat that his hand kept being lowered. So I think he's been in the queue for a while. I'll just add that for William because he can't speak for himself right now.
Okay. Well, please let William speak. Are you able to ask your question?
Yes, thank you. How would you handle a hostile group? There was a situation in my group where I misgendered somebody and they attacked me and doxed my my apology to the whole group.
I can start that. That is one thing that we are addressing in ACA, and I'm on the Health and Safety Advisory, and pretty much sometimes when it is like to do a reading, and off the top of my head I can't tell you which ones, but I could share those with you. But taking those pause, bringing. And sometimes just stopping the meeting when it gets out of control. and doing a group conscience. But fortunately, I haven't ever been in what you're sharing, and I'll give it to Sue and then Jim.
Thanks, Denise. And one of the elephants in the room sometimes is laundry list one, fear, and I would call anger towards authority figures. And sometimes this happens. And I have had to deal with that a lot, both individuals and groups. And I would say that the first thing is to focus on yourself and your own recovery. Your personal recovery is so important. So number one, you pay attention to that. The second thing I would say is that when it's in a group setting, what I have done is I've asked tradition two. I've asked for group conscience for what needs to happen in that moment, and in a loving way, not in an attacking way towards anybody. And ask for group conscience on what's needed. It really depends upon the context and what's going on with everyone. And first off, focus on your own recovery. Second, go for the group. The collective group conscience really does work. And if it doesn't, maybe the group's not healthy, then there needs to be some choices made about that. We don't have a lot of it, but we do have enough of it to the point where we have a meeting and safety resources committee that you can talk with. And if we can get that posted from our tech folks in the chat where they can reach them. And we also have a health and safety advisory because we need to make sure that the world service, if we don't have it safe, how can all the others have it safe? So we need to do that. And we've been doing a lot of initiatives in a loving and kind, but very firm way to keep our meetings and our committees safe, as well as our annual business conference and our quarterly delegate conferences safe for our delegates. And if anyone can do it in the world, it's the adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. I have faith in us. We will figure this out together. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Sue.
Thanks.
And I'm going to give it to Jim to finish up that question, whatever you'd like to add. And then why don't you go ahead and take your 5 minutes to talk about volunteer resources?
Okay, hi, Jim here. And so I'm part of a meeting that's rather sizable. And it only takes one person really to upset the whole meeting. And we did have an incident that was predatory in nature. And so it was kind of resolved, but it created a lot of problems. And what came out of it was a desire to have things done preemptively. So we created a group to look at the policies that the group would want to adopt. So there's a subset of the meeting. Everyone was invited to be involved, and they've come in and out of this group, and we are creating policy that we then bring to the larger group for adoption or alteration. And that's been really we're in the middle of it, so it's hard to tell, but I think it's going in the right direction. And if there's nothing written down and by the group, people can run crazy. Whereas if you have something created, you can just say, "Oh no, we've decided this is how we will handle this." So I'd leave it at that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Jim.
Hi. I kind of forgotten about this aspect of the meeting. So if you could just give me that sentence one more time.
Okay. So how to get started in service. So Jim's going to share with us how to get started in service and about volunteer resources.
Perfect. And so, hi, I'm Jim, and I am half of the co-chair team of Laura L. from Southern California and me, Jim R. And we are leading the volunteer resource or resources committee. And it's kind of a new committee. I'd say we're like a year and a half established, but we've done a lot of different programming. It's been successful and not what we had imagined at the same time. So if you're interested, you can go to ACA. Oh, I have the ability to screen share. So let me pull something up and I'll talk at the same time. Pretty much all committees have a web page, and it's on a site titled acawso.org. And this is kind of more the working part of the organization. And I am going to show you where that is. All right, so let me come back here. Close this and screen share, and there we are. So I don't know if anyone's seen this. I'm assuming that you probably have. This is the often called the blue site, as opposed to the other, which is the red site. And you can see acawso.org. On the right-hand side, on the column there, is a listing of the WSO committees. So you get a sense of all these different committees as we go down. And if there's a plus sign, it means that there's a secondary committee underneath that committee. And here, pulling up the rear, Volunteer Resources Committee. And if we click on that, here is the committee page. Our purpose when we meet is here, the meeting ID and the passcode, how to contact us. So we have an email address. Our members, myself and Laura and Kelly and Carol. So there's room, plenty of room for assistance. And we have some reports listed here as well, and some announcements. And so this is what we're doing as a committee, and some of the programs that we are providing. In particular, service wellness. We've had an open house twice a day on the 7th and 24th of the month, at 9 and at 9 Eastern time. So it's pretty available for people around the world, we figure. And we've had people arrive. Sometimes no one shows up, but sometimes there's one or two, and with different concerns. And again, this was all about service work. We focused on WSO, but we've had like inquiries about intergroups, and even mostly intergroups. Nothing really about regions, but so and then we're doing a meet and greet program, which would be around the time of the monthly teleconference, and that's aimed at the delegates. But everyone's welcome. So that is our page here. And let's see, this here, the volunteer sign-up form. So this has been mentioned quite a bit in our meetings over the last many hours. And this is the form that you would fill out, and it is directed to, depending on what you're interested in, it's directed to these committees that are listed here on the right. So and ideally they will respond. We might be updating this so that everything also goes to the volunteer committee as well. So saved by the bell. But I also was just going to ask Denise, is there anything that you would like me to elaborate on?
This is what I was really hoping you'd share. And you know what? How about we elaborate after the meeting, and then we can take the questions. So please forgive me, everyone. We ran out of time. We're not going to be able to do the Bill of Rights that we were hoping, but we did put in our resources. And thank you all for coming, and we will be with you in a couple minutes. So Adelina, I turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. This was an incredible panel, and we have 2 minutes to wrap up until we jump in our next presentation about the Americas Convention opening. So I will share the screen with our slides that you're already familiar with. In closing, thank you so much to all our presenters, Denise, Sue, Alisa, Jim, Edmundas, and Carmen. Thank you to our tech host, Martin, yay, and all those giving service to bring this year's ACA World Convention to all of us. Many thanks to you for listening and holding space. Listening is often the greatest support we can offer and receive. And as I said, our next presentation is the Americas Convention opening. And we would like to invite everyone now to unmute so that we can close with the ACA Serenity Prayer in the language or way that is meaningful to you. And after that, you can please join the fellowship room and continue the conversation with Denise and the panelists. ACA Serenity Prayer, I will say it in English, but please say it in any language you would like. God.
God, I cannot change. First change the one I change, the one I have to know, one of me. Esta persona soy yo.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So